What do you want to start with?
Oh, whatever feels right.
All right.
Okay.
Hey everyone, I'm Brad from Calgary.
This is Sean from Cambridge, Ontario.
I'm Terry from Cornwall, Ontario.
Hey, this is Larry from Pitt Meadows, British Columbia, and you're listening to the Towing Life podcast.
Welcome to the Towing Life podcast, where the ditches are deep, the trucks are loaded, but the drivers are not. I am your host, TowManG, and as usual, I am joined by my co-host, friend, and former coworker, the man with very strong opinions and a very straight face, Mr. PlainGuy.
What is going on, G? What is going on?
I really do appreciate you holding that face for so long, giving me the slight impression that you might have froze. And I was like, oh no, I'm going to have to do this episode by myself.
Does that face look concerned? I feel like it looks concerned.
It looks like you're trying to have a poop.
Whoa. My poop face definitely looks much more aggressive
Oh,
than that lost puppy dog face.
wow.
my poop face is very aggressive, for the record.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
It's very manly and aggressive. And we're off the rails 30 seconds in.
Tell me how you really feel.
It's a great time to mention, if you haven't already, do not forget we've got our recovery of the month going on now. We have announced January, February, March, April coming soon. At the last episode of every month, including this one in May, we have our winners of the recovery of the month. What you win a Canadian $50 Amazon gift card and a spot in our 2024 calendar, which will be printed at the end of 2023. So be sure to get your submissions in. We will close the contest probably about the September-ish time. We haven't set an exact date yet, but it is going to be coming. So make sure to get your submissions in. Your questions, comments, concerns are always welcome on the show. So if you want to get a hold of us, easiest way, head over to towinglife.ca to find us. You can also email us at thetowinglife@gmail.com or visit us on Facebook at the Towing Life Podcast. As always, your questions, comments, concerns, the fact that you guys join us week in, week out, we always appreciate. The show continues to grow, continues to get better, and can better than G's face that's going on over here. God damn it, we can't keep a straight face today. It's gonna be a game of who can off or get them off their game the most.
Well, the wonderful girlfriend just got me this the other day, and it's a heavy 1 liter thing, and it fits in my cup holder, my Dodge perfectly, which is nice. But I've just been sitting it on my desk, and I was like, oh, I've got this little cup holder, but it's only little aluminum. I put it in there, and it started bending pretty good. I was like, oh, let's just keep this on the desk.
It's the whole reason he was taking sips is so I would mention that notice that he got a new cup. I love it.
No, I'm taking a sip because I'm thirsty talking to you.
Is it insulated? Is it one of those cups that you can put your ice in on these hot summer days that are coming and it'll stay cold for a long time? Is it one of those?
I don't personally like cold water. I'm one of those weird people who like room temperature water. But the girlfriend, she can put 6 ice cubes because we're polar opposites, me and her. She can put 6 ice cubes in there and it'll last for 5-6 hours, no problem.
You don't like cold water.
Nope.
On a hot summer day, as we start to ramp into our busy summer season, you do not want after call, tire change after tire change, you do not want a cold, refreshing water.
Room temperature is good. In my tow truck, I've got the rear vents right in the center portion for the rear seat. If I put a case of water right there with the AC on, it'll keep it cool but not too hot, and that's the perfect drinking temperature. But no, I don't like ice in my water.
There is so many things wrong with you.
Oh yeah,
so many things.
Yeah,
ladies, if you're not listening and you haven't seen, I mean, it doesn't take a woman to figure out the red flags this guy's got going on. He's got a peacock farm. Mm-hmm. He drinks room temperature water. He believes that Boston pizza is called going out to a bar. Actually, no, it wasn't even that. It was a brewery. It was going out to a bar. There
was a bar there. They were serving drinks. No.
This guy.
I picked up 32 meat chickens on Tuesday.
I really should have read your resume a lot closer before we hired you all those years ago. And
if you want, I could put up a video of my little day-old chicks here too. See how cute they are.
Okay, well, you can put in your chicks so that everyone on
I came home in that truck with 33 chicks. Only 32 of them were in the back seat.
And only one of them wanted anything to do with you, and that's still up for debate.
Yeah.
Depending how long this recording goes tonight, we'll determine how much she wants to do with you.
We got that show that she likes to watch, Big Brother.
Oh, Jesus. So, talking about the cold water that you seem to not enjoy, I'm team cold water. I love a nice, refreshing ice cold water, especially with the summertime coming. It is very important, right? You want an easy way to some tips in the hot summertime? Here's
bubbled water.
What?
Bottled water.
I said bubbled water. Okay, we're back. Yes. Go out, get a little cooler every day. Put some ice in and even if you buy it at the gas station, you can get like 12 packs of water for like $3. Put that in the cooler.
12 packs?
No, like a 12 pack.
Okay.
Like a case of 12.
There you go.
Individual water bottles. Okay. You get a case of those or a pack of those or whatever you want to call it. I don't care. A dozen if 12 was confusing. And you put them in this cooler with the ice. It's going to cost you $3 for a bag of ice, $3 for a case of water, right? You will show up to a customer who has been stranded on the side of the road with a vehicle not running, even if it's been 20, 30 minutes, especially in the heat, the dead heat of summer. And those customers will appreciate that water. You will. Hey, would you like an ice cold water? Oh my God, absolutely. Unless they're sociopaths like G, they will appreciate the ice cold water.
Yeah, make sure to give options. Get 2 cases of water, leave one sitting beside the cooler, and put one in the cooler. If you rescue me off the side of the road, I'm tipping large if you have accommodated my room temperature water.
If I ask a customer if they would like an ice cold water and they go, no, do you have anything room temperature? I am not taking them in my truck because they are going to murder me by the next exit.
That's
on a
true.
40-degree day, and it's been hot, and they've been sitting on the side of the road for, let's say, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, with no AC going, and I offer them a ice cold water, and they're like, no, but do you have room temperature? Get the hell out of my truck. I'm calling the police. You are getting incarcerated under the Mental Health Act because there's clearly something wrong with you.
My room temperature water is fine. I'm not a complete psychopath. I'm not going to go out and start slashing people's throats or tires. I'm just not going to do that. I just like room temperature water.
Is there anything that you do different in the summertime to the winter to prepare when it comes to your daily job or different things that are going to come up in the summertime that you're not going to see in the winter?
In the summertime, I carry a case of water in the back of my truck, just for the instance that you're bringing up. I normally bring a rain jacket with me instead of a heavy coat. But other than that, not really. I might bring an extra pair of pants or an extra top, throw an extra thing of deodorant in my pickup truck. So halfway through the day, if I'm coming back to the shop, I can freshen up a little bit.
Well, it shouldn't be just because you're coming back to the shop. It should probably be because you got a customer or whatever. But no, I get that. Summertime, I pack more snacks. And the reason that I pack more snacks, I'm a snack guy, is because the road trips are more. Like for us in our area, the summertime, our call volume is very similar. But a lot more of those runs are out of area. Right?
Yeah, it definitely feels busier in the summertime just because your calls on average normally take longer, I find. And the one call, a guy's towing a truck and a house trailer, sometimes that'll take up 2 trucks, right? Doing the same call, going roughly the same location.
Why does it take 2 trucks? Oh, right, because you refuse to drive flatbeds, where they'll take 1 truck.
Well, no, I've towed plenty of trucks and trailers on the back of my wrecker. It's just, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It doesn't happen.
Yeah. No,
staying in a parking lot.
It is true for the most part, right? So winter time, your call volume, if like the amount of calls is normally higher, right? That happens for sure. But it's normally shorter local stuff because not many people are traveling as much whenever the cold weather's out, when the snow's out. They're still doing it, but it's not as frequent. As soon as the summertime rolls around and the warm weather kicks in and the summer vacation for the kids and everything else, right? We're about to hit that season. It's coming quick. That's when the family road trips start. Right, that's when the longer distance tows come in. That's where people are down for a weekend, and you know, from 3, 4, 5 hours away, maybe, where you don't get that. You know, what's going to visit unless it's Christmas, 3, 4, 5 hours away in the middle of wintertime as much. So you really start to pick up on that volume. So that's where me personally, like I said, the snacks is a great thing, because when you get on those long runs, I'm a big believer. When I'm on a distance run, right, and for the most part, anytime I'm in a truck, I am not going off my path to get something. Right? Like, I will hit an en route to grab a coffee. I will hit a fuel station or whatever else I need, normally at the same time. Like, I get fuel, I grab a chocolate bar, whatever it is I'm going to need a drink, and I continue. It's not like, oh, I'm going to stop and get off the highway and go up the road to get it. Like,
there's a Burger King 5 kilometers that away. I'll just get off here.
I won't do 2. Unless I know it's right off the highway, chances are not stopping at it.
Which is a shame for small businesses and mom and pop shops that aren't located right at the highway. But at the end of the day, you're not making any money if you're not towing. So
that's it. Or, you know, I'm not doing the company any good if I'm not being efficient. Right? If I turn a 2-hour tow into a 4-hour tow because I decided to hit every off the highway stop along the way. Right. Like, if I'm a little famished, I'm a little hungry, I'm starting to get a little cranky. But I've got to stop for fuel in an hour. Right. Well, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to wait till I have to stop for fuel to get food too. I'm not going to stop.
You're going to plan ahead and make sure that that gas station has something that you like to eat in that general area.
If not, I have snacks. That's why the snacks are so important. I cannot emphasize how important it is to have snacks.
Have you ever had a customer that requested to stop for a washroom like every 35 minutes?
Not that frequent, but I've definitely had some where, like, we just get under tow. Oh, can we stop the next second for a washroom? And part of me is like, I got like a 4-hour drive ahead of me, 8 if you count the return trip. But you've also been sitting on the highway for, I don't know, 30 minutes or whatever. Maybe you had to go all like, it's tough. But no, I've never had one frequently ask like that.
Yeah, me neither. But I'm sure people have, and I'm assuming you probably got a pretty decent story about that.
I'm sure there's probably a little bit that leaked out onto your passenger seat. No,
it's tea.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, you want to be efficient, you want to get it done. That's how you get paid. That's how everybody's happy. You want to get on to the next call, whatever it may be. Especially when we're talking 4 or 5 hour, like, one direction tows, right? Like, again, you can't be stopping every 2 hours. I can normally try and push on those 3 hours, 4 hours, depending what my fuel. I try and plan around fuel. And when you do the corridor that we do with the 401 corridor, you know where everything is. Right? Like, you can kind of schedule it out and get it sorted out. So it makes life a little bit easier. Where in the wintertime, it's a little more chaotic. You get stuck out in the country and you're just knocking off call after call on back roads, whatever. You don't have that availability to plan like that as much. So another note, snacks in the wintertime are great too. See, there's always time for snacks.
Oh, always. Especially snacks that are easily, chewable while driving.
Oh, it's cracker packages.
Nudge.
The crackers. Whatever, those are perfect little 6-pack crackers. They'll tie you over for a little bit.
They can make a mess though.
The crackers a little bit. I have been a sucker lately for those cups of candy, the gummies.
Yeah.
It's like a plastic cup, which, don't tell the government, they'll get rid of them too.
Yeah.
But it's like a plastic cup of candies. I've never been a sweets guy. I've always been a salty guy.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I've give me one of them cups and a long road trip. I'm all set.
I bring some crispers with me.
You just talked about those other crackers making a mess. Any cracker makes a mess. Any chip, any cracker.
Yeah, but as long as you can fit the whole thing in your yap at the same time, then
no problem. No mess.
No problem. Got a big mouth,
No. So what are your, listening at home, on the truck, on the road, whatever, head on over, give us a message at the Towing Life podcast on Facebook or at thetowinglife@gmail.com. What are your summer tricks? What are things that you do differently in the summer that you wouldn't do in the wintertime? I know I had a customer the other day. I was petrified. So pick this guy up. It was hot. We've been having like a very early start to summer here in Ontario.
Mhm.
And I picked up this customer. Big dude. And I'm outside and I'm hooking it up. And he's actually like right up against the guardrail. So I've got him on the other side of the guardrail while I do the hookup. And I can smell him from the other side of the truck. And I've got originally, he ended up changing where he wanted to go, but originally about a 3.5 hour tow with him. And we've all been in
For
that
3.5 hours, that body sweat or everything's just going to leach into your seat and you'd smell them on the return trip too.
So I'm sitting there going, oh no, this is gonna be a rough one. So I hook him up, and before he even gets in the truck, because I pulled up past the guardrail so he could get in where he could open the door.
Yeah.
Pulled up past the guardrail to get in. I already had the windows down. And we're on the highway. Like, we're gonna be going highway speeds. I cannot have these windows down. Like, it's just it gets too windy into a headwind. Anyways, he gets in the truck and he sits, and I'm like, start going, and it's getting pretty windy. I put the windows up, and I never smelt him.
Oh,
I never smelt him. I don't know if just because he was out of the car, he had arms up. I don't know what it was, but never. I was so terrified, and I was like, thank God that was a pleasant trip.
maybe there's just something dead on the other side of the guardrail that you didn't see.
No, I'm pretty certain. I've got a big enough nose on me. I understood what was happening in that moment. But oh my God, I thought for sure this is gonna suck. And no, it was actually a great guy. Gave him some car advice, whatever. Wasn't quite sure what was going on. Talked it through. Awesome conversation for the whole ride. So I am just so happy because it's coming. Wintertime, they can hide it under the jackets. They can hide the stank.
You want to know something that will make you feel real jealous?
What's that?
I have cooling seats in my tow truck.
That doesn't make me jealous.
Oh.
If you have anti-stink seats.
Well, they're fart suckers. They suck air through the seat and blow it into the back. So
You've always called
I feel bad for anyone sitting back there and you let one rip.
But wintertime, you can hide the stank.
Yeah.
Summertime, you can't. The stank is real, and the stank will get you. So what do you do to protect against the stank? I want to go back to COVID where we told everybody no passengers.
Oh, it was great.
It was great. Great times. I miss those days. It is the one thing I miss, the cheap fuel prices and the no passengers.
Oh, yeah. I think our job would be like 10 times better if we could just have no passengers all the time. But unfortunately, we deal with vehicles and breakdowns. And, well, people have to drive vehicles for them to break down. So,
We've then got to take those people. It's the name of the
quit
game.
Driving ship boxes and quit breaking down.
Wait, no, that's counterproductive to our industry.
I had a lady the one day a week ago. She had a flat tire at the local Wendy's, and I get out and she was like, I don't know if I hit a nail or something. I was like, okay, well, we can put your spare tire on. Where do you got to go? She's like, oh, well, I got a trip tomorrow that's like 100 kilometers away. And I was like, well, your spare tire is only good for 100 kilometers. And I wouldn't recommend doing 200, 250 kilometers on the tire.
Yep.
And so let's see if it'll hold air. Let's see what's going on with the tire. So I put air in it. I was like, okay, now pull your car ahead a foot here so I can check underneath the tire. And she does that. And sure enough, there's a little nail there. And I was like, okay, well, here are a couple of your options. And she was like, my husband knows how to change a tire, and my son-in-law does. He's from Australia, but I don't know how to do it. I was like, okay, well, it's pretty easy to learn. So I kind of walked her through the steps. I didn't end up changing her tire because she was like, well, what if I just drive down to Canadian Tire? I was like, better yet, I'll follow you down to Canadian Tire just so I know that you made it there safe. And if Canadian Tire can't get you
to do the work.
exactly. And I said, she's an older lady. And I said, if Canadian Tire can't fix your tire today while you're there, I'll give you a ride home. Right? She lived a minute away from Canadian Tire, just trying to be nice and courteous because she was by herself. Like she said, she didn't have anyone else in town.
What's the occasion of you being courteous?
I'm trying to be more courteous, okay? I'm trying to be better and trying to work on my customer relationships, I guess you could say. be more courteous because I'm trying to be a better person and be a better operator.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't believe you, but okay.
You don't believe me?
I don't
Come
believe you.
on.
I've known you for
And
too many.
besides, this is the perfect time of year to really start doing that because it's not cold, so you're not super miserable, and it's not stupid hot, so you're not super miserable. The best time to work on yourself is in the spring and the fall because at least you're at a comfortable climate.
Because it's easy. I'm not sure if working on yourself counts if you do it during the easy times. I think the whole point of working on yourself is supposed to be in tough times and
Well, no,
persevere. But I'm no
you work on
psychologist.
yourself to get better in the easy times, and then you can maintain it through the rougher times.
Sure, if that's the logic we want to go with, I am
That's
in.
my logic.
Towing is a career full of different situations, from vehicles missing a wheel to having none at all. A great operator learns to use all the tools in both his physical and mental toolbox. I'm here today to tell you about a new, exciting tool to add to your physical toolbox, the BakPul Hitch. Like many people on the internet, I had my doubts about this product. Doubts I personally aired on this podcast. But the fine folks over at BakPul Hitch sent me one of their products to try, and boy, was I surprised. Its quality of build and ease of use made me eat my words real quick. So if you're a doubter like I was, head over to bakpulhitches.com for more information and to find out how to add another tool to your toolbox. That's BakPul Hitches.com. What do you think about competition?
To a certain extent, I like it.
Okay. So, competition in the towing industry is something that is never going to go away. And if it goes away, well, in my opinion, you're going to have a ton of shitty companies around because without competition, you're not forced to be at your best. You're not forced to give that extra service. You're not forced to do anything. If you have a monopoly on something, your give a damn really can disappear. Right? I don't know how many companies I've seen over years in areas where they have dominated that region. They have absolutely dominated a region. What happens is they get complacent when they don't have that competition pushing them to do better, pushing them to grow, or any of those things. And then what ends up happening? Normally, some underdog will come in out of somewhere and absolutely, just sneak their way in and start to take over. And all of a sudden, one day they wake up and the lion's share of work is no longer theirs. Right? Competition is great for the industry. I will never argue against that. However, right, we're not talking about competition like Toronto, where trucks are catching on fire and everything else. They bring competition to a whole new level up there.
Yeah.
Right? Competition is good. You ever see those signs where companies are picking on each other via signs?
Yep. Sign war.
I'm all for that kind of stuff. I love that camaraderie. But when is competition brought too far? What is the line that we think, like, when it becomes detrimental to the industry and hurts the industry? Has competition gone too far?
I think I'm picking up on what you're laying down, and a fairly local, good size operation to me was a big roadside provider, and they had a trouble finding drivers for like a year, right? So they were doing most of their calls. We got called to back them up, and a big company that wasn't local to the area went to the roadside, and we'll have they said we'll have 20 trucks there come Monday. And well, they lost their roadside contract because how can the roadside argue? Oh, they say they'll have 20 trucks there come Monday.
But that's not competition, right?
That's taking over because
it is taking over. But what I mean by competition is when you have two fairly established companies that go back and forth. Right? When you have that
1 year, one rotation, he'll have the police contract and vice versa type thing.
Exactly, right? Like you're getting this amount of wrecks, they're getting that amount of wrecks. Like it's, but competition is good like that. Like knowing that there's a company out there that if you absolutely drop the ball, the customer has a choice.
Yeah.
Right? This company, like what you just talked about, was just a regional takeover.
Yeah.
Right? That's what all that was. That doesn't have to be competition. That has nothing to do with the quality of the company in which it came into play. Yeah. I don't know who the company is, but all it is a, that's just a takeover. That's a hostile takeover.
Yeah.
What I mean is companies back whenever we used to work together, right? We had company A that we worked for, and we had company B in the next town over. And that competition for work is, as much as that was, not a perfect example of, it's not the same as having two companies in one town.
Yeah.
Was good for the industry because you couldn't afford to mess around or to, like, competition can be a race to the bottom, and we've seen that a ton in the industry.
Oh yeah.
Company can drive the worst out of people and out of businesses in order to keep reducing prices in order to compete. That's not competition. That's just being an idiot with your pricing. If you guys could all get together, you could still compete. But competing based on quality and of service and of all those things. And I think it's something that's important. And too many times you see some of these big companies in these areas, that's where they fail. They have no competition.
No.
Right? The customer doesn't have a choice. They're one of the few. You can really control the pace and momentum. But if you don't get on top of that stuff and you don't stay on your game because there's nobody else, there will be somebody else.
Oh yeah.
Right? If you can't grow, and that's what we're seeing, right? That is the way the industry is going with regulations. You need to grow.
Yeah.
You cannot stay your little 2-truck operation. It is slower. It's slowly disappearing more and more and more and more.
Because you'll have companies that can just throw 20 trucks at the problem and say, see you later, goodbye.
If you can't service a customer, and unless they've been a very good customer of yours for a very long time, they're not going to wait. And every time that customer, even though they might really like you, and they might have used you for the last 10 years, every time that you let them call your competitor and get a tow done, you risk losing them in the future. Yeah. Because all of a sudden the service might be great. The operator might have been great. The price might be fair. Hopefully not undercut, but fair. And you lose that customer. And this is normally a game that goes back and forth. Right? That's what I mean by a true competition among companies, right? Like, we work in an area where we've had that for years. And I'm all for it. The old days of the wars, I mean, it used to be a war, not, to the point of burning trucks. So, well, that happened in the town I lived in, but, for the most part, but it was like, you wanted that job and you would be mad when they got that job. Those days are gone, but the competition still lives on. The want to beat them, the want to get a job over them, the want to make sure the customer gets the best experience, and to be able to sit back and go, hey, look what we did.
Yeah.
Is important. And that's what I mean by competition. So when you have but never be afraid to work with your competition. Right? There is nothing saying that you cannot work with your competition. If you were in an area where you and your competition absolutely cannot stand each other, I'm telling you, I've been on both sides of that coin. Yeah. It is a much better working environment. It is a much better place to be. It is much happier in that town if you can get along.
Oh yeah, like, even if you're just a driver and you came into this company and you now work for company A, and they say, oh, we don't get along with company B for this, that, or whatever reason. Don't just base your opinion off that. Maybe get to know some of the other drivers. If you're working on a wreck with them, offer and say, hey, I'll grab a broom, right? You're there anyways. You might as well make yourself useful. Stuff like that will go a long way. Just helping a little bit on the cleanup, right?
100%. Because companies are so quick, right? There's a healthy competition, like we've talked about. But companies are so quick. And it's normally certain cancerous people within the companies. It's not normally the whole company's idea. It could be one. It could be at the top. It could be at the middle. It could be at the bottom. Right? That wants to take an opportunity to take a shot every chance they get at their competition, forgetting that they themselves have made plenty of mistakes over the time, right? I'm a big believer. If you give it, take it.
Yeah.
Right? Don't, I'm not a Bible guy by any means, but, don't throw rocks if you live in a glass house, or, thou without sin, cast the first stone, something like that. Right? You can't sit there and take shots at your competition. No. Well, these idiots did this and this and this. Yeah. And you idiots, needed 3 companies to do a job. Like, you can't do that kind of stuff. Yeah. It gets you nowhere. Right. And it looks terrible, especially when you start doing it publicly. Right. Like, you guys want to have your little arguments. You want to have your little whatever for the better of the industry. You can't.
Don't take it to Facebook.
No. You like little jabs in the sign wars, whatever, if it's willing on both sides, whatever. But if it's just straight up stirring the pot,
Yeah.
and it goes against the goodness of the industry,
Mhm.
and you're just trying to look good about it. I think it's an absolute waste of time, and I think you're not doing anybody, the company, the industry, the public, a favor.
Yeah, because like what I was talking about was the takeovers. If you and your competition have a decent working relationship, you guys can hold down that town, that area.
Mhm.
All the calls get filled. If both of you can't do whatever for whatever reason, or if you're with a roadside, well, now they got to outsource to the town next door or outsource to one of the bigger roaming companies. Oh, well, they've got a truck there. They'll just, they'll have their logo driving around town and other people start looking at that logo. They
Yeah.
might see an ad for them on Google, right? And that's bad for everyone.
Yeah.
There's some pretty big companies out there that have hundreds and hundreds of different trucks and employees. And the biggest thing I don't really like about them is the skill variety. You can have one operator that barely knows how to change a tire and one operator that's the best operator you've ever seen in your damn life.
Mhm.
And they work for the same company. They're under the same brand. So you have no idea who may get sent to that area to do the work that you can't.
That's hard because as a company that's currently experiencing growing pains,
Hmm.
and that's what we call that is growing pains,
Yeah.
right? At one point, whenever you grow and you make that step up to the next level, yes, you're bringing in new guys, right? Turnover might be a little high while you figure it out and while you get the right candidates. Your
Yeah.
quality of employer or employee might not be what you want it to be. But at that point, when you've dedicated to the growth,
Hmm.
you need to work on it.
You need some
Right.
seat fillers.
You need some seat fillers while you train these guys up. It happens,
Mhm.
right? I've seen that firsthand, and it is tough
Mhm.
because a lot of times from a managerial position, you're getting pulled in 18 different directions.
Yeah.
And you're trying to focus your attention on the thing that you feel it needs the biggest priority or
Yeah.
needs the most attention. And a lot of times, drivers that can get basic calls done and get it done, and maybe not at the level that a company would come to expect out of a long-term employee.
Mhm.
But if they can just pretty much, if they're not a squeaky wheel,
Yeah.
they kind of get left alone. I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's right, but it's the reality of it.
Mhm.
And then once you get, okay, well, we've gotten this growth done, we've gotten this taken care of. Okay, now we work on our, what I mean? Now we work on sustaining this. Now we work on getting these guys better trained so that we can be the best of the best. So that guess what? The next growth phase that I have this good base.
Yeah.
Right. You need that base, that solid base before you can look at any sort of expansion and any sort of growth. But comes with that, when you get that growth, is again these newer operators, these, that it's a hard process. So, I'm not saying that there's, I guess it kind of makes me a hypocrite with all the videos that we've shown of people doing dumb shit. Let's be honest. We've shown a lot and maybe those companies were going through growth spurts. And maybe those operators thought they were doing a great job. Like the guy, nice. That was nice.
Want me to put my winch on it?
Want me to put my winch on it? If you didn't check out last week's episode, go back and look at episode 91. Right? So maybe that was part of a growing pain. I mean, I'm talking growing pains with operators that might not be up to par. I'm not putting them on rotators.
Yeah.
That's what my base is for. That's that base before you grow.
I'm sticking them on a rollback and they can do their 8-point tie down and they have a basic understanding of how to get most cars into neutral. And you kick a skate underneath the tire if you can't.
Yeah, and they know safety and they know all that kind of stuff, right? Like those guys, we all started there at one point.
Mhm.
And it really depends. Some people grow without attention. Some people grow by being left to their own crazy ideas.
Yeah.
I know personally for myself, my training from the beginning was never very solid. It was never very in-depth.
No.
And I strived off that. Some people don't. Some operators really need you, right? To, I feel bad for teachers now. I realize how bad as much as I still think they're overpaid assholes, I really feel bad for how much they, have to try and learn or teach to different people.
Yeah.
The difference is I'm not getting government funded while I do it.
I do not agree with your teacher.
Teachers now. You can leave that in.
I do not agree with that because my girlfriend is a teacher, so
I don't
fuck
care.
you.
The hell with her too. As a person, she's a great, wonderful. As a professional, she can go to hell.
But yeah, like safety is a big thing on the training aspect of things. And unfortunately, it's a different thing every day. A ball joint could be out, but a lower control arm could be out.
Yep.
The tie rod could break. There's so many different things and so many different scenarios that you can't possibly teach, even if you keep the guy in training for 2 damn months, right? He's still not going to be able to figure out everything.
But we're not
And
safety though is not a ball joint. Like,
well, it kind of is.
how?
If you're trying to wheel lift it and you just grab it and you don't, try to secure it to the car.
Okay, I see where you're going.
Yeah. And if you're just, oh, well, it's only going around the corner, I'll just scoop it or whatever, and I'll
Okay.
just move it around the corner. Next thing you know, the car falls off because the wheel's still in the scoop and the car's no longer attached. I
Fair
would
enough.
pay to see that.
Why just a wheel still on the wheel? That's
Yeah.
like the tire itself, but the whole car falling off behind it or falling off behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
That'd be
pretty good.
great.
I've never experienced that, but I mean, it would be.
I'm sure it could happen.
No, 100%. Safety, no matter what, has to be instilled in new operators, regardless if you're going through a growing pain or not.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I said. First thing you teach them on a flatbed. As soon as you winch it up onto the bed, safety strap on.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care.
I've seen a couple of cars. You winched it up there. Good for you. And you tilt that bed up, and your truck's pointed on a little bit of a downward hill. And next thing you know, that car's rolled into your headache crack.
Or a winch fails.
Yeah.
A winch line can fail. I mean, a winch can fail, period. Right? Like, don't. There's enough shit trying to kill you.
Yeah.
These are little things you can do to not die or seriously get hurt. Like getting up in the bed and putting it in park.
Yeah.
I always tell guys that first time I seen them, right? Okay, so you want like hop in the, what are you doing? I'm gonna put it in park. Why? Do you need that little pin? A little parking pin to stop this car from falling off? No? Well, guess what? It's not gonna happen today. It probably won't happen tomorrow, but eventually you're gonna step off that stupid truck, you're gonna hook your foot, you're gonna do a header down off the truck, and you're gonna put your hands out to brace your fall, and eventually you're gonna break something.
Yeah.
And then you're going to take 3 months off.
Yeah.
Then you're going to kill me with WSIB claims.
Yeah.
And not be able to make an honest living or a fair living wage because you broke your wrist because you were dumb.
Yeah.
Leave it in neutral, strap it down, let's go. And normally that tends to get the message across pretty efficiently.
Well, it's not even like that's more of an extreme example. A little bit more nonchalant example is when you're doing your safety chains on a wrecker, it's always better to grab in between the crossbar of your wheel lift and the car itself instead of underneath the crossbar. Because at least if your hydraulics fail and your lock fails, the wheel lift falls, at least your arm is in between the wheel lift and the car, not trapped underneath the wheel lift. Just like you don't crawl underneath the tire or wheel lift assembly.
I don't know if I fully agree with that statement or if I missed something with it, but I see what you're saying. I mean, I'm more worried that something on the car is going to fail and crush my arm between the car and the wheel lift, but
Yeah, I'm a firm believer. If that happens, at least I should still have one arm to be able to, manipulate the controls.
He's built into your wheel lift, chum. You don't blow a hydraulic line, the thing drops.
I know, but depending on the shit that people run, you never know.
Fair enough. No, at the end of the day, safety has got to be your top priority. Actually, my old man's got this saying. If he's listening, he'll be very proud of this moment. Safety cannot be a priority.
Why?
Because priorities change. Safety needs to be, I don't know what he calls it, a lifestyle or some dumb thing like that. You can tell this guy spent way too much time in the ministry and drank the Kool-Aid. It's the same guy.
It's true. It is true.
The same guy that'll tell me that if you're worried about getting hit by a car on the side of the road while you're hooking up, then do a full road closure to hook up a disabled car. Welcome to the government, ladies and gentlemen. Logic doesn't exist here.
Oh, that's something I wanted to bring up on this show.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on pylons?
Like the ones that we employ or the ones we keep on the back of the truck?
I'm saying the ones that you keep on the back of the truck.
I think they're absolutely a great tool and should be used whenever they can be.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Care to argue with me? I'd be love to hear this.
I mean, in practice and in theory, are two different things. In theory, yes, I would love it because then if someone hits the pylon, it makes a very distinct sound. It should give you a little bit more visibility. And if you hear the pylon get run over, at least that gives you an extra second to, react.
Okay.
In practice, I find these pylons normally get put in a very awkward spot, normally strapped down kind of awkwardly, like on the far side of your dollies, in between the dollies and the boom on a wrecker.
Well, that's just dumb practicality on your company's part, but okay, continue.
Well, a lot of times that's the only real space to keep full size pylons,
Okay.
right? Unless you want to put like a cone mount on the front of your truck, which I am not against. It just kind of looks a little ugly,
It does.
right?
Okay.
So you're reaching up and over to undo your tie down, whether that be a bungee cord that's rated or a pull or like a tie strap that's
Yeah,
also rated.
you're using rated bungee cords for your pylon. Stop being an asshole and say it how it is.
Yeah. Anyways, you know what I mean. I say things that I don't mean all the time for the show. And by the time you
I
do
don't.
all that and you get the bungee cord out, which normally has to link into your dolly assembly somehow, you drop the cone down, you hook up your car, and then the time it takes to pick up all your cones and place them back down and strap them down in this inconvenient spot that most cones are stored in,
Okay.
it's almost like you're putting more time in that kill zone, as some people call it, than what really is needed.
Could you not use the same argument that you put more time in the kill zone putting safety chains on your wrecker?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess.
Oh shit, he's got him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's
But you need your safety cones to be, or your safety chains, your safety chains to be legal. That is your job.
you need your cones to try and stop yourself from dying. That is your life.
Yeah.
Right? I get what you're saying on the impracticality, and we haven't come up with a perfect solution on where to mount these cones and how to make it the easiest. And let's be honest, most towers, unless it's easy, aren't going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I've learned about towers, love you guys to death. But if it ain't easy,
We ain't doing it.
you ain't doing it. If you can't find a way to make it easy, I mean, I'm not talking recoveries. That's just fun.
Yeah.
Right? If it's not fun and it's not easy, you ain't doing it.
Yeah.
If it's fun but it's hard, you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's hard, if it's not fun but it's easy, you're doing it.
Yeah.
But if it's not fun and it's not easy, you ain't doing it. So that as a manufacturer of a tow truck and all these different things have not worked out the perfect scenario.
Mm-hmm.
We've also not implemented in an industry the way, let's say, a hydro truck does.
Yeah.
Right? Recently,
even the Bell vans, they're required to put out a cone sitting in someone's driveway.
Absolutely. Right? And it's only by instilling this in them and forcing it and enforcing it, are you really going to get compliance in it?
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, not only do the pylons create a visual navigation.
Yeah.
Right? Tow truck sitting side of road. What tow truck do?
Yeah.
Tow truck side of road, cones angled. Right? Properly placed. Ooh, get away from tow truck. It's fucking not rocket science.
Yeah.
Right? Recently, I took a course that is required in Ontario for traffic control called Ontario Book 7. If you haven't, look into it. It's absolutely great. And they give you the measurements on what you require for different zonings. And that is one of the things that they teach that, the public's stupid.
Yeah.
The motoring public, we have had about 7 MVCs today in a stretch of a highway on a clear, sunny day with zero goddamn reason for it. There's lane closure, there's construction, and the MVC is just racking up. The motoring public is stupid. Yeah. You stand a better chance the Dimbo Bob behind the wheel of his Pinto is going to understand that cones on an angle, because I've been through this before, are going to mean to move over than he does with a flashing light sitting on the side.
Yeah.
Make some visual noise. I'm not saying if you start putting pylons out tomorrow, we will eliminate all the deaths in the towing industry. I'm not saying that. I'm not an idiot. Yeah. But take the time to protect yourself instead of just bitching that nobody else is moving over in anything else. Do not put your cones in a live lane. Use traffic trucks. Yeah. right? Like we're just as responsible for being idiots and cutting corners so we can save costs because nobody will pay for it, and then sitting there and complaining when there's no respect because we're getting hit all the time. How many construction workers get hit?
Not many.
Less than towers.
Yeah.
Why? Because they're required to follow a plan and put out proper safety measures. How many cops are getting hit? Still more than enough. And, them again, maybe they should have pylons. Traffic stop. I'm going to get your driver's license and insurance, but let me just put them pylons out behind me. It's probably not going to happen. Right? But it's true. It's, like fire department. You ever see fire department use pylons? 100%.
Yeah.
Paramedics, no, because they're there to save people's lives. The people that got hit by the car because the guy asshole before didn't use pylons. Right? Like, but you see that. Hydro workers. How many hydro workers are getting hit? How many construction workers are getting hit? And how many firefighters are getting hit? It's less. Why? Because they take traffic seriously.
Well, I think the other thing is, going back to the easy thing, we're there for 5-10 minutes at most normally on the side of the road. Where a hydro truck, they're setting up, they give themselves 30 minutes to set up, and they're there all day. Same with the construction workers. And in book 7, there is different levels of like time duration that you have to go through, depending on the amount of stuff that you got to do.
Yes,
Also,
I can assure you there's none that don't include a single pylon or traffic truck. I can assure you.
Yeah.
So, all right, because they're going to be there longer, they take more precautions.
Yeah.
So because we're only going to be there for, that's like trying crack. I'm going to get you a little bit. I don't have to worry about addiction. I'm going to do a little bit. Oh, the risk is still there.
That's the thing, though. If someone goes through their head, I'm going to be on the side of the road for 5 minutes, but it's going to take me 5 minutes to set up all these traffic cones, and I'm doubling my time there, right? This is what's going through a lot of people.
I don't want to take a big rock of crack. I'm only going to take a little rock of crack.
Yeah.
Still crack. Yeah. But I get it. Yes, you're right. I'm going to turn my 5 minutes out into a 10 minutes, so it's actually more dangerous. I love that argument.
Yeah.
To set up pylons than it is to just work quicker without it.
These are the things that you hear in the industry, right?
Yeah.
This isn't just my thoughts.
Because it's not easy. I've been through this. It's because it's not easy.
Yeah.
Of course you're going to hear the argument. You're going to hear the argument as well. I don't strap my dollies because it makes more sense that if they come apart. That's why the engineers say to strap it. I don't know. Give me another conception, idea that towers have that they're absolutely out to lunch on.
Driving down the road loaded with your beacon lights on.
Oh, God, don't. It's better for public safety. Nobody behind you can see your lights, and they're the only ones that need to know that you've got something on the back. So, yes, it's because it's not easy. Yes, it takes some time. Yes, it takes some equipment. And I know it's not going to change overnight. I know it's not going to get better out of nowhere. But at the same time, if we don't start taking steps in the right direction instead of the same direction, right? It's one of the few. I'm very excited for the towing industry because a lot of younger operators are coming in, a lot of new opportunity with a new generation. Now, there's been new generation before, but every generation in towing we've improved. Right? From the original Holmes Wreckers to what we've come to, there's constantly been improvement in the industry. So myself as a professional and somebody who's very passionate about the towing industry can only hope that the next improvement comes from the side of operators, comes from the side of safety, and comes from the side of competition that is normal and won't hurt anybody's feelings or hurt the industry as a whole. I think that's pretty fair. I don't think I'm asking for much here. All I want is a little advancement in how we're treated as an industry once we start being what we want to be treated in the industry.
Why do you care about their feelings? You never care about anyone's feelings.
I don't have feelings. Because just like you, I'm trying to work on being a better person.
Oh, thanks.
So join us next week to find out if I truly am a better person or if I am still absolutely just a heartless bastard on the TowManG podcast. You will be joined by myself my wonderful co-host, Mr. TowManG. So on behalf of both of us, we will take that time to wrap up this week. Don't forget, visit us at thetowinglife.ca. Email us at thetowinglife@gmail.com. Comment and like down below on YouTube. Visit us at the Towing Life Podcast on Facebook. Thank you for coming out. We cannot wait to see you again next week. Take care.
Toodles.
I feel like I was pretty hot in that episode.
Yeah, you were.
Was it good content, though? Was it good content? I thought
I don't know. I can't remember any of it other than the traffic cone part.
I think I was funny.
Other than the good callback to the beginning that you did.
About?
Being a better person.
Yeah, nice, right? That was solid.
Yeah,
I
that
came
was
out my
solid.
fucking ass at the last second. So what do you care about feelings? Fuck, I don't. I'm just like you, buddy. I'm with you. I'm with you.